Hello, everybody. Welcome to What the Flick. I'm Alonso Duralde. That's Christy. That's Matt. Adam Sandler's back. With That's My Boy. What is it? Explain it.
I don't even know why I should, because it's an Adam Sandler movie. So Adam Sandler apparently knocked up his 7th grade teacher, sort of a little Mary Kay Letourneau premise here, and the ensuing baby becomes Andy Samberg. I don't really know how to describe this movie, because it's just stupid.
So what the IRS say?
You haven't paid taxes since '94, Donnie.
I'm going to prison if I don't get 43 large. Holy cow, that's my boy. He moved out when he turned 18. I haven't seen him since.
He's one of the youngest hedge fund managers in the financial industry.
Maybe your son can help you.
Todd, your old man is here.
Donnie, what are you doing here?
What type of guy would miss his son's wedding?
You were basically the worst parent ever.
I was awesome!
You let me eat cake and lollipops for breakfast every day.
That's what you asked for.
You're supposed to say no.
So I have to admit that I did not hate this as much as I quite frequently hate Adam Sandler movies. I think we all look at them, we know they're coming, and we feel a sense of dread, right? Like, oh shoot, I've got to go see an Adam Sandler movie. But there's a weird kind of streak in this that I can't decide whether I admire its daring or I think it's just trying too hard to shock us.
I know where I am on that. Now,
Okay.
speaking of movies that we dread, when this started and you started getting, what was the song that played over the credits? Like some 80s metal song.
Oh, it was Def Leppard. It was
Def Leppard. And I thought, wait a minute. Was it Photograph? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, wait a minute. Am I
Rock of Ages?
What the hell?
I thought that
Well,
too.
I thought they were going to play Love Song by Tesla in Rock of Ages, but they didn't. They played it here.
Also,
It's the
to be
big
clear,
climactic
I know we've
song.
already done our Rock of Ages bit. They don't play Rock of Ages in Rock of Ages.
Yeah, well, they don't play
Fail.
Boogie Nights and Boogie Nights either, so, you know.
Well,
So it goes in really, really weird, dark directions, right? You have all the expected fart and boob and vomit jokes and jizz jokes and
Fat people
right? And you
and-
expect that, but it goes someplace. It's like a really dark after-school special.
It has this one really creepy sort of third act moment, which in a smarter movie would be like, oh, okay, well that's audacious. And here it's just, oh God, that's gross. That is gross, Adam Sandler. Even by Adam Sandler standards, that's gross.
I can't decide how I feel about it still, though.
I actually felt like with the opening, with the premise of the movie being that the 7th grader is having multiple very often having lots of sex with his teacher, by the time you get to that third act reveal, I'm like, well, okay.
I will say this: the third act reveal does follow along the film's entire tradition of inappropriate older women jumping on younger men, which is a theme in this film.
Well, every woman in this thing, even by Adam Sandler movie standards, this is massively misogynistic.
Totally.
Every woman is a stripper or a prostitute or just some kind of slut in general. Even like the grandma in this thing throws herself at Adam Sandler, which makes no sense because he's like, mulleted and drunk and just totally coarse in general. And then the Leighton Meester character, the fiance, who's supposed to be the classy woman here, is a liar and a gold digger, and she's a shrew.
Now I'm going to attempt to head off the complaints that we're going to get in the comments about, yes, there is one character who is not a stripper, but she's got 3 lines. So that doesn't count.
Oh, she's the bartender at the strip
the
club?
bartender.
Okay, yes, right.
But that character gets 3 lines and it doesn't count.
Yeah.
So
shut up.
She's barely a character.
I will say that I laughed twice.
What did you laugh at?
I laughed at Vanilla Ice during the bachelor party montage, which was pretty funny.
Vanilla Ice is like a full-fledged character in this.
Yes.
Thing. As himself.
As himself.
It's beyond
and I laughed at the visit with the mom in prison at the end of the movie, which is 2 more times than I laughed at Just Go With It and Jack and Jill and Zookeeper put
Bucky
together.
Larson.
And Bucky Larson, yes. So, although actually, now that I think about it, I did laugh at Al Pacino in Jack and Jill.
Yes.
So maybe we're tied. Anyway,
I think that's more out of horror than anything else.
no, he was working it. But yeah, no, this movie is painful, and
I disagree.
And I just, yeah, it's sexist, it's vaguely racist, and misogynist, and
there's a homophobic streak in it too.
It has, a little bit,
As usual in all these adolescent movies.
It is such that frat boy mentality of everybody who is not me is gross and fair game for being laughed at by how revolting they are.
And probably gay.
Yeah, and so it's like it's. I think that anything is fair game in comedy if you have a smart approach and you have something interesting to say about it. But if you're just going, that's gross, that's just lame, and it's what Adam Sandler does.
Matt actually has something to say.
I kind of liked it.
Okay.
I kind of liked it. I thought it was funny. I didn't laugh as much as Dave did.
Yeah, I know.
Dave was laughing a lot.
Tune into our podcast this weekend. We're going to have some words about that one.
I went into this movie dreading it, thinking, oh God, especially, yes, I know that I gave probably too high a score when we did reviews for Jack and Jill. This one, I was like, I don't know about this. I wasn't really sure. It made me laugh. It made me laugh a lot.
What did you laugh at?
Most of the jokes. There was a lot of stuff.
You laughed at the parts that were funny.
The Vanilla Ice stuff is funny.
First of all, okay, I have to say that this movie did a thing that I didn't think was possible, which was made me kind of like Vanilla Ice and want to see more of him on screen.
He can laugh at himself.
And I felt like, to your point about it being misogynistic and sexist and racist, nobody comes off okay in this movie. Like, everybody looks like an asshole. Like, everybody.
No.
I mean, I don't think they get it.
Women get it worse.
That's a cop that people do on certain types of comedies. But you are always supposed to be rooting for the Sandler character, even though his when his behavior is reprehensible. And also, the movie has this very kind of sniggering, like, about the whole idea of a 13-year-old boy having sex with an adult woman. Whereas, obviously, if the gender roles were reversed, people would be rightly horrified.
I mean, look, I don't think this movie, I don't want to be the apologist for this movie because I don't think it's great.
You are.
I don't think it's great. It does mess some things up. For instance, if you're going to do a montage of a 13-year-old, having trysts with a teacher and you're playing a Van Halen song, why would you not play the Van Halen song?
Well, as we talked
Come
about.
on.
Wait, they played Hot for Teacher.
No, they did not.
What did they play?
No.
I don't remember. What did they play?
Okay.
As you can see, I'm very upset.
I can see it. What did anyone
It was some other song.
Well,
It was not Hot for Teacher, and I was really pissed off. As you can see, that really pissed me off.
You
And
put more
people-
thought into this than the people who made this movie.
I know. No, it was like, come on, what? Really?
it is kind of a
Like,
gimme when you think about
What
it.
the hell? They do at least play Ice Cream Man later in the film. But
When he's holding
when he's holding ice cream, right? Right, so they figured that one out. No, there was a lot in here that made me laugh. Like, the masturbation scene I thought was really funny. Like, there was just like, they go, the fight with James Caan. Like, I thought there was some really fun.
I will say this: if you like Sandler movies, you will like this Sandler movie.
I will say that.
And if you hate Sandler movies, you will hate this.
I like
Sandler
Billy
movie.
Madison. I like Happy Gilmore. I like The Wedding Singer. I like The Water Boy. Those movies I like. Some of the other movies I don't like. Those are four of his movies that I've always liked. I wouldn't say this necessarily holds up there with those, but I think it's kind of a step in the right direction for him, kind of getting back to what he does. The problem is that the younger idiot that he used to play doesn't play as well, I think, as the older idiot. And I think that's where kind of the breakdown is. Like, it's funny, it's more believable when Sandler is closer to an age to actually legitimately be a frat boy, to kind of do that frat boy humor. But at his age now,
and this
it's
one,
like-
they're trying to present this character as somebody with a clearly sort of arrested development, who,
Learn something.
Well,
learned
he learned something. Oh,
something.
and guess what? He learns that family is important.
Family is important, yeah, which is the moral of all Adam Sandler
Every
movies.
single one of these things.
Family matters. You mentioned James Caan. He does kind of show up and class things up briefly.
Yeah.
It's a weirdly fun cast. Like, Rex Ryan is cast in a small role in the beginning, and it's used in a very, very clever way because the whole movie takes place in Massachusetts.
Tony Orlando.
Tony Orlando
Orlando.
is in it. Todd Bridges is in it.
Yes.
There's some weird little bits of casting that I found kind of amusing. Anyway, let's do numbers because you're going to jank things up real fast here.
I kind of like this movie. I think people who are fans of Adam Sandler are going to be really happy with this. I give it a 6.5.
I am not a fan of Adam Sandler, so 1.5.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm 3.5. It's every gross thing that you expect, and then it goes in some weird directions that I'm not sure I can totally dismiss. So our average, I didn't hate it. Our average is 5.8.
No, actually, it's a 3.8.
I'm sorry, 3.8. Math is tricky. 3.8, but we are still way higher than the tomato world, which is like
Right,
what,
the tomato meter is like
14%?
14%. We've only got a few reviews in so far. Actually, it may go down.
Okay.
I have a feeling.
Just like all the women in Adam Sandler movies. Bye.